Characteristics of the Hispanic market. The essence of being Hispanic is the sharing of a common heritage. The rich ancient history roots back to the Iberian Peninsula or the Reconquista. The Reconquista, or the forming of the Spanish kingdom, was the conversion of the religious state of the peninsula from Islamic beliefs to Christianity, which was in large part due to the Roman Empire. The peninsula consisted of Iberians, Celts, Phoenicians, Visigoths, Greeks, Carthaginians, Romans, and Arabs. This unique class of people created a culture which would soon turn into what is now known as Spain or Hispania. It was this Spanish kingdom that was formed over centuries of history that ultimately sailed people to the northern and southern Americas, otherwise known as the Christopher Columbus era, to continue this massive shift in culture and diversity that continues today at an ever-increasing rate. The Spanish kingdom and Christopher Columbus's historic voyage or voyages would ultimately change history as we know it, and the mixture of Spaniards and other North and South Native American peoples would form other diversified Hispanics who now populate a large portion of the United States. Before we move forward onto U.S. Hispanic market segmentation, I will focus a little more on background. The nationalities that came from the mother country Spain are Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Uruguay, y Venezuela. The background and characterizations of these countries are very similar. However, their linguistic identities separate them. The differences in these identities go as far as words meaning something entirely different than another. An extreme example can be a Catalan Spaniard attempting to communicate with a Mexican. There can be some confusion with their verbal communication or conversation, but in the end they share commonalities that would eventually simplify communication and come to an agreeable form of understanding. The commonalities of U.S. Hispanics are their cultural background, which some label as homogeneous. These great similarities consist of architecture, music, poetry, literature, leisure, food, and dress. It is highly known in Spain to dress appropriate every day, and this includes classy and mature attire. There is simply a different way of life that Spaniards live by, speaking of Spain alone, which separates them from other classes of Hispanics in the world. Kids stay kids longer, which we Americans cannot attest. Our youth seems to want to mature before their time. The combination of this lifestyle, combined with good, pure food, in my opinion, lengthen life itself and give more meaning to living more fruitful. Examples of this lifestyle consist of taking a 2-hour lunch, for example, in order to enjoy authentic food with leisure conversation. Or one may take a siesta habitually in the afternoon. It is also common for dinner to begin at 9 p.m. or later. Americans ought to adopt or ought to be thankful for the increase of the Hispanic population for these reasons alone. Hispanics must adapt to the U.S. workman's grind. Therefore, we ought to adapt to the aforementioned lifestyle just a bit. What do y'all think? The ancient Spanish traditions, including the study of the background that was just mentioned, and important information which the book emphasizes, like lower class, middle class, and upper class demographics, as well as educational growth of U.S. Hispanics, are what a market researcher must gain knowledge of, adapt to, and stay relevant with as they study U.S. Hispanic consumer behavior.
Are you afraid of growing your business into the largest growing segment because you don't know the language or culture? Today I'll share 4 important tips and facts to help your business target today's booming market, the Hispanic market, more specifically, the Hispanic millennials. It's estimated that 1 in 5 people are Hispanic in the U.S., and that number will increase 1 in 3 by 2050, based on the 2013 Hispanic Retail 360 study from Nielsen. There has been an 89% increase in Hispanic millennial-led households' earnings between $50,000 and $100,000 a year in the last decade alone. As a matter of fact, in 2003, 11% of American homes with a Hispanic 20-something made over $75,000 a year, and in 2013, the number increased to 21%. If you really want to capture this booming market, here are 4 helpful tips that can impact your business future. Tip number 1, know who they are. Hispanic millennials represent 21% of the entire millennial population in the U.S. They continue to be more optimistic about the future and carry less debt. Tip number 2, know where they live. They are growing rapidly in non-traditional markets like Atlanta, Indianapolis, and Charlotte. They continue to drive increases in multi-generational households, with 45% living with their parents. Also, in key markets like Los Angeles, Miami, Houston, New York, and Chicago, they represent 25 to 50% of all millennials. Tip number 3, are you connected? Hispanic millennials are different from other U.S. Hispanics in some fundamental ways. 2/3 are U.S. born and 40% are bilingual. They shop less in stores but spend more. They are smartphone shoppers. They are closing the educational gap too, as more are attending college and are marrying much later. Social media, radio, and some print advertising are top ways to market to this group. And finally, tip number 4, speak their language. They might speak more Spanish at home and more English with friends, at school, and at work. So stay away from translations. Those approaches are half-hearted efforts that can waste your money and possibly offend your intended audience. Make sure that your message is culturally relevant to them, even when you use English. As of today, Hispanics are the nation's 2nd largest consumer market in the U.S. In 2012, Forbes reported that their purchasing power was $1.2 trillion, and by 2015, they are predicted to spend $1.5 trillion per year. That's a lot of buying power that can significantly impact your business future. So take the right steps and you'll find that sweet spot and a very loyal following. If you found this information useful, please like below and share. I am Sixia. Until next time, hasta luego.